Peace be with everyone. All praise to the Most High. And I'm back with another video. I'm going to be going in talking about how they're using the names of the Messiah in their news again, just blaspheming the names of God, the names of the Messiah, his human names. So let's get into this. As we always talk about, Isaiah chapter 52, verses 5 and 6, the Lord told us that his name continually, every day, is blasphemed in these last days, and because of that, his people will know his name. And as we know, Messiah is upon the earth, as it was always prophesied he would be, because as it's written in 1 John 4:3, and every spirit that confesseth not that Yeshua Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world. So every spirit that denies Christ coming in the flesh, coming as a human, is an Antichrist. That's an Antichrist spirit. 2 John 7, for many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Yeshua Christ is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an Antichrist. So I'm sure you guys that already know the name already see where I'm going to be going with this. How we have Trump in the courts with this lady named Carroll, E. Jean Carroll, right? And then how he had to meet up with Prince William. And that Prince William's very deep as well. So let's get into this here. Now before I get into this, I'm going to read Ephesians 6:12. So they might make it, they have their checks and balances to where they make things seem like they're real and stuff. But in reality, it's demon spirits that have to blaspheme the names of the Messiah because he's upon the earth. So that's why they set these things up the way they do. So Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So it's not just flesh and blood, it's not just humans that we're dealing with here. These are fallen who are orchestrating things behind the scenes, right? So now let's start off with this. Obviously, we have the whole Donald Trump, right? And when we understand what Donald Trump, he is an Antichrist, but he is not the Antichrist. We know the Antichrist is Barack Hussein Obama. But, Trump is an Antichrist. 1 John 2:18, little children, it is that last time, and as ye have heard, that Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. And when we understand that time we're in the time of the last trump. So Messiah is upon the earth, as it was always prophesied he would be, as a man, as a human, as the Son of Man. Because as we understand, Revelation 12:5, and she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. So he's the man-child, and he's the one who comes in flesh. Zechariah chapter 6, verses 12 through 15. Behold, the man whose name is the branch, he will grow up out of his place, and he will build the temple of the Lord. So this is going to be physically on the earth. The man Christ. Right? So, and right now is the time where he's really being revealed. Right now is the time where the revealing is happening. Revelation just means to reveal. Revelation, reveal the Messiah. So 1 Corinthians 15:52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. So that's the time we're in. We're at, the so-called Trump's his last term in office. That's the time we're in, the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall all be changed. So Messiah is upon the earth, and as it's written in Acts 2:17 and 18, that in these last days the Lord is pouring his Spirit on all flesh. So many people are waking up and coming into the knowledge of the Holy Kingdom of Judah and the knowledge of the Messiah. Now, when we understand with Trump, this whole situation with that lady named Carroll, it's so deep because when we understand the Messiah's first name, his human first name is Carroll, and it's spelled just like this. It's the exact same spelling. Because when you understand, and I've talked about this in my other videos, but the ancient name of Christ is Karast. The word Christ comes from the ancient word Karast, which was the anointed one. The Kara, because Ka means soul, Ra means light, El means God. He's Kara El, the God of Israel. You see this? Indeed, his last name Christ comes from the Coptic late Egyptian term karast, which meant anointed one. So when you understand why his human first name had to be Carroll, it's because he's Kara-El, the God of Israel. You see what I'm saying? Because El means God, Ka means soul, Ra means light. And then the Kara, the Karast, is the anointed one. It's Christ. The ancient Hebrew, the ancient word for Christ. They say ancient Egyptian, but that's really just ancient Hebrew. So that's why he had to come in the human first name of Carroll, right? He comes in the human first name of Carroll, and then his middle name is William. Because as we've talked about, Exodus 3:14, and God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. So Christ is the will of God, and he does the will of God. He is the will of I am, the William. And we've already talked about why there's so many Williams that blaspheme the name, because it all draws back to Isaiah chapter 52, verses 5 and 6, talking about in that day, which is these end days, the Messiah is going to be blasphemed. The Lord's name is going to be blasphemed repeatedly, right? So now let's get into this. Now, obviously, Trump already has those blasphemous connections because his father's middle name was Christ. His father's name is Frederick Christ Trump Sr., that middle name, Christ. And then he has the Trump. You see this? So now what I want to talk about is the situation with the lady E. Jean Carroll. So supposedly Trump Trump did inappropriate stuff, I'll say, to E. Jean Carroll, right? So they've been back and forth in the courts, and she's getting money. She's being upholding money in the appeals, and it's stuff like that going on, right? And she had to be Carroll, E. Jean Carroll. Now I want to talk about this lady for a second here. So when you see it says, for about 25 years, she wrote for Elle magazine. This right here, Elle magazine. Let me scroll down. What magazine did E. Jean Carroll write for? She wrote for Elle magazine for over 25 years. Elle is just God, Elohim, and this is the Elle magazine. Because as we know, Elohim was God. Elohim meant God. See, yes, in Semitic languages like Hebrew, El means God. So that's why they had to have Carroll. And remember, Carroll is the first name of the Messiah, the human name of the Messiah. So that's why they had to have her write for El, right? And then she has to get in trouble with Trump like this. And look at the way they worded it. The court upholds Carroll's judgment against Trump. Because Messiah, Carroll, Kara-El, he's going to judge the nations, as it's written. So that's why they're setting this up the way they are. So let's keep it moving here. So yeah, this is the situation. So all these articles and stuff about what's been going on with the Trump and E. Jean Carroll situation. Because this is what they're doing. They want to put them, because that point's going to come, because that time's going to come, the Messiah's already being revealed to where his name's going to be in the news. It's going to be in the mainstream news, and he's going to be in talks, Father bless, with people like the president and stuff. This stuff is going to happen, Father bless. So now, what's really deep is how they've set this up. So this is the stuff about the E. Jean Carroll versus Trump. It's so much. Look at this all here on the left side. There's so much about this situation. They've made it a big deal because they know the Messiah's name is Carroll, his first name. So when you understand, that's why, look at this. Who was the judge? The judge was Lewis. Like, there's no getting around this at all. So the judge had to be Lewis. And what do we know about Lewis? As we've been talking about, that's the Messiah's human last name, because he's Lewis Eternal, the holy name of God, Lewis. So Trump has the situation with Carroll, and then Lewis has to be the judge. Like, these people, there's no getting around this. Because when you understand, you translate praise the Lord, it's Lewis Eternal. Halle means to praise, Yah means God. Hallelujah. Praise Lewis Eternal Yah. And when you understand how deep that is, that's why in the Freemasonry, That's why in the Freemasonry, they have this little device and they call it a Lewis. So we already know those Freemasons, they're wicked and they reject Christ. So they have the Lewis in their lodges, the little Lewis stone, Lewis device, and they let the stone hang low like this, right? Because remember what Christ told us, as it's written in Psalm 118:22, the stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner. And then he said in Mark 12:10 when he talked about it, Christ said, "And have ye not read this scripture? The stone which the builders rejected is become the head of the corner." And that's why on our dollar bill, they take the holy altar of the Lord and they remove the headstone. They reject the head of the corner. The builders, which is just the Freemasons, they reject the stone and they call it Lewis because they know what the holy name of God is. Lewis eternal. That's why there was so many kings named Louis. There were at least 18 kings, King Louis of France. And there's so many Louis. You have Louis Vuitton, you have Carl Lewis, you have Lewis Hamilton, you have Lewis Carroll who wrote Alice in Wonderland. It goes on and on. Jesse Louis Jackson, Rosa Louise Parks. It goes on and on. They blaspheme the name all day long. So that's why the judge had to be Louis A. Kaplan. So Carroll versus Trump. Louis had to be the judge. See right here, who is Louis, the judge in the Carroll case against Trump? And I'm going to show this here. This is the court case when the Messiah, Carroll William Lewis II, went to Biden and went to the courts and told them who he is. And obviously there's time, this takes time to get the mission done, and it's going to get done. It takes time, As it's written in Deuteronomy 18:18, Moses said, "I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command." So the man Christ, the Messiah, he's going to go back and he's going to build the temple. But we're going to Exodus first. He's like Moses. So that's why these things take time. But this is the name right here. And you see this in Kansas, Wichita, the 316 area code, because John 3:16. So you have Biden, who was the president at the time, and then you have Carroll William Lewis II, the Messiah. So that's why they've set it up for their blasphemy to where they have court cases where it's Carroll and Trump. And when you understand why they had to do the $83 million, so many of the articles say this 83 here, and that 83 is really significant because it deals with a few things. So how I was just talking about how the Messiah, he's similar to Moses. He rises up as a man from amongst his brethren, and then we Exodus. So obviously he's the greatest one. He's the Son of God, but he's similar to Moses in that he's a man and he Exodus. Right? So that's why when you understand Aaron, and remember Aaron was with Moses when they went to the Pharaoh. And that's similar to when the Messiah went to Biden in the courts saying to who he is in the Holy Kingdom of Judah. So Aaron was 83 years old. So that's just the significance of the 83, why all these articles, they keep saying Carroll's judgment versus Trump, and then they say 83, right? And then it also deals with how it's written in Psalms 83, again 83, where it's talking about how they've taken crafty counsel to try to hide Israel. Because we know, as it's written in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, that those people that are in Israel, so-called Israel right now, they are not real Jews, they are Gentiles. And they are not in the real land of Israel. That is the state of Israel. But anyway, as it's written in Psalm 83, 3 and 4, I'm just going to read. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So you see that they've taken crafty counsel, right? And that time is being done away with. The truth is coming out of who Judah is, who the holy kingdom of Judah is, and who the real tribes are. This stuff is all coming out now, and they really can't hide it. Now let's talk about the situation with Trump meeting up with Prince William, right? And this guy, how he's using that name William. And I'm going to show you guys something too. His full name, he's Lewis as well. He's William Lewis. There's no getting around this at all. And then he's Arthur, because when you understand the Messiah, he was born in a place called Port Arthur, Texas. The 776 zip code, and there's more to it. I'm not going to go super deep into that in this video. William Arthur Philip Lewis, and he calls himself a prince. And what's a prince? A prince is the son of a king. Just like how Christ is the son of God. Christ is William, Christ is Lewis. This is how these people work. They blaspheme the Messiah all day long. See, and he's the son of King Charles. Charles is just a form of Karast. Charles is just a form of Karast. It's the C-H-A-R that's just car, as we've been talking about. Why they did all that. And remember, he's William. Remember, that's why Willy Wonka, it was Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Remember? Charlie, which was blasphemy of Karast, car. He goes to William's kingdom, talking about Willy Wonka. And you remember Willy Wonka was played by Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp, middle name is just Christopher. That's just Christ. It's like, I don't mean to go off track here, but this stuff, it's undeniable. Once you know the names and what's going on, this stuff it's everywhere. Really amazing what the Lord's doing. It really is. The spirit that he's pouring on us, it's a blessing. It's amazing, and all the praise goes to him. Because we're just living this out, and he's pouring his spirit on us, and it's amazing. It's wonderful what the Father's doing. It really is. And then when you understand Prince William, his son is Lewis, right? And then he has a daughter, Princess Charlotte. Charlotte's just car. So, like, there's no getting around it at all. So you have, yeah, Prince William, he's Lewis. So you have Prince William, he's William Lewis, and then you have his son. His son is Louis Charles. Come on now, man. There's no getting around the name at all. Like, these people, once this knowledge spreads, it's such a blessing to be able to understand it and how the Messiah is upon the earth. It's amazing. But yeah, that's why Trump had to meet up with William. So right around the same time that the news was happening with that lady named Carroll. So this stuff was both in the news around the same time. Trump, Carroll, judgment. Trump, William, Charles. Yep, there he is with them right there. And then what I also wanted to talk about was the situation with E. Jean Carroll and Trump, how it's so much money that Carroll is owed. So Carroll is owed, let me go to the beginning here, a total of $88.3 million awarded to Carroll, right? So what's so deep with that, I'm going to read Haggai chapter 2, verse 8. It says, "The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts." So all the gold, all the money, all the riches belongs to the Lord, because it's used to build his holy altar. Right? So that's why they have to say, Carroll is bringing judgment against Trump, and she's getting all the money. Because remember, the Messiah's human first name is Carroll. Right? And this is also undeniable, because that's why right now, the head coach for the Raiders is Pete Carroll. Spelled the same way, Carroll. He's the head coach for the Oakland Raiders right now. And what's a raider? A raider is a thief, right? They steal the riches, right? A raider definition, a person who attacks business premises in order to steal. A person who forcibly enters a place to steal, because as we know, 1 Thessalonians 5:2, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." Talking about the Messiah, talking about the day of the Lord, Christ. And his human first name is Carroll. So that's why the Raiders have to have Carroll be their coach. because that's what a raider is. Deals with getting the riches back, because all that stuff belongs to God. Remember what I read in Haggai 2:8. All the gold, all the silver is the Lord's. So that's why Carroll is bringing judgment against Trump, and she's getting all that millions of dollars. It's all blasphemy, but it's all symbolic of what's going to happen, what's going on. That's how their blasphemy works. That's why, back to the Johnny Depp thing, remember how I said he was Willy Wonka? Remember he played Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow was also a thief. He was a pirate, which is just the Raiders, right? The Raiders are pirates. And remember Johnny Depp, as I was saying earlier, he's Christopher. That's just Christ. So the way they set things up is all for their blasphemy. So this stuff all ties together here, how that all goes. Because all the riches belong to Christ. All the riches belong to Carroll. All the riches belong to Carroll, the Messiah. So that's why they've set it all up the way they have, because they already know Messiah is upon the earth. It's not a secret. He's here. It's a blessing to be able to understand all this, and the Holy Kingdom of Judah is just rising and growing, and it's beautiful. It's amazing how this is all playing out, and how their blasphemy, they really can't even hide it anymore, because we're waking up. It's such a blessing. But yeah, really that's all I wanted to get into. I wasn't going to make this video drag on too long. It's just, again, like my past two videos, I'm just showing stuff that's going on in the news and showing how they're using the Messiah's name because they're just playing their role to blaspheme the name of God. Because as it's written, in the Lord's name continually, every day is blasphemed in these last days. And because of that, we will know that's his name. So this stuff all comes together, why they set things up the way they do. But yeah, it's really a blessing how it's all coming together. Peace, love, prosperity to everyone, and God bless everyone. God bless.